Hi everybody, I hope you're having a great weekend, and I thought I'd send you this little message. I was considering something today. I don't normally do a video on a Saturday night, but this is kind of a one-off because I think this is important. And I was thinking about my early recovery and how fearful I was when I'd stopped drinking. For 2 or 3 years, really. Maybe a little bit longer even. How fearful I was. And I wondered what that fear was all about, really. I didn't believe I was going to drink again. I didn't want that. The fear was something else. It was everything. It was a fear about the past and the future, where I had to live in kind of imaginary circumstances, like imaginary states, fantasy states, really, to engage with the past and the future. The fears of the present, of where my life was going, and the normal things around financial insecurity and that sort of thing, and whether I'd ever meet somebody and ever have a family and ever be loved and all that kind of stuff. And the fears didn't go because those questions were resolved. No, not a bit of it. That's not what dealt with those fears. What fearless living, not as I don't feel fear at all, but fearless living where I'm not dominated by fear. Why that came about was because I accepted that obviously life is finite, that there's a beginning, middle and end, and we don't know when the last bit's coming. We might have a rough idea, but we can never be sure. And so, in order for that to make sense, in order for that to have meaning, in order for life not to be a series of fears, letting go of the need to have and to own and to dominate, letting go of attachment in as much as one can, was the first part of transcending fear. Realising that all things, people, objects, belongings, money, status, all that stuff is transitory. In 1,000 years' time, no one will know who I was, and it won't really matter. In 100 years' time, if I'm dead and gone, all the resources that I now have will be recycled in some way. They'll belong to other people. They'll be useful to them, or they'll go back into the ecosystem somehow. When my life comes to an end, my status won't have mattered. Not really. No interest in people building statues to me or anything like that. Not that I think that's going to happen anyway. So what is between now and my death, what's the point? What makes the difference? And the difference is each moment in which I give and connect, life has meaning, and I'm not fearful in those moments. When I talk to somebody and guide them a little bit further down the road to where they're trying to get to, when I am gentle with another person or kind to another person, when I have a little bit of money left over and I buy a coffee for somebody who's got nothing. When I do those things, it's not about polishing one's halo. It's about reaching out and making the connection with other human beings. And that is where the meaning of life comes from. I can't speak for everybody, but I suspect that's true of most people. And when life has meaning through connection and contribution and sharing and enjoying together, then life has no fear. The fearless living comes from giving. Fearless living comes from connecting. And fearless living comes from understanding that the purpose of life is not to be the label that you ascribe to yourself: counsellor, teacher, sportsman, piano tuner, pork butcher, whatever it is, whatever you think you are, it's just a label. It's just a set of words that was ascribed to you. The deeper role of all human beings, beyond the kind of the status that the ego craves for us, which is all about the ego's desire for separation, for isolation, for loneliness, and ultimately, in our cases, for addiction. The deeper journey that we're all seeking, that we're all on, and that really our recovery is about, is the return to love. The return to love, the return to wholeness. And that can be found in each other. That can be found in connection. That can be found in the developing the healthy relations and ways of dealing with our shared problems. It can be found through open sharing and honesty and vulnerability. And it can be found through the joint celebration of our own shared triumph. If somebody is in an AA group or in a group in a living room and they've been sober one day, I shout it from the rooftops and cheer for them and think, this is the person who is taking the next step down the road, and they're in this moment a hero. So those kinds